Hey friends, Chad the Nature Dad here on this beautiful 60-degree March day, and taking the dog for a walk. I came down and I noticed we've got some plants that are already starting to grow. In fact, I noticed these plants a couple weeks ago coming up even when there was tons of snow on the ground. And the plant that I saw is a skunk cabbage. So let's take a closer look at this super cool spring wildflower. Here we go. There's a closer look at this skunk cabbage that is coming up, and I tell you folks, I am super jazzed about this skunk cabbage because it's one of the few we would call thermogenic plants. So this plant can produce heats up to 70 degrees that will melt the ice and the snow around it, soften up that soil so it can start spreading out its roots and absorb some of that nutrients. And then what happens is that the flower comes up and it has this more of a rotten type smell that attracts the early pollinators, such as flies and sometimes even a salamander. If you take a look on that plant, you can see there is an insect crawling around on the outside on that plant on the left, and it's attracted again to that skunk-like cabbage smell. So cool, and a great sign that spring is here, and so is the warm weather. All right, friends, unfortunately, I did not see this skunk cabbage underneath all the leaf litter. Wow, and I stepped on it. But what it does mean is we get an up-close look at this skunk cabbage. And so you see the ball-like structure on the left there. You also see a whole bunch of little flowers that are coming out of it. That's what it is. So you got little flowers that are growing out around the outside. So that's not one big flower. There's a whole bunch of little flowers. And so the plant will crawl, and so the insect will crawl inside of that skunk cabbage looking for that rotten smell. And as it's walking around looking for something to eat, it will for sure collect some of that pollen and then fly out and go to the next one and the next and the next. And so this plant has a super interesting way for it to pollinate. So I can tell you, produces its own heat, smells like rotten meat. This plant's got some really interesting adaptations. So head out to your nearest wetland area. Maybe you can find some skunk cabbage too. I went ahead and grabbed a piece of that flower that I accidentally stepped on and broke. So sorry for that, Mother Earth, but since I did do that, we might as well use it for a little bit of scientific experiment. So does this flower really smell like skunk? Well, let's take a look. Oh, yeah, it sure does smell like skunk. And imagine that you are an insect or a salamander and you've been sleeping or hibernating all winter and you come out and you're ready to have some food. Can you imagine you would smell this? That would definitely be enticing to you if you were one of those animals. Now me, I'm not so much excited about eating something that smells like skunk, but to those animals, it's a perfect sign for them to come on in and find it. Friends, here I am out by a marsh by my house, a little cattail marsh, and another sign that spring is on its way is the call of the red wing blackbird. You can hear him in the background there singing "Vote for Me." These are the males. They come up first in the migration and they come up to establish some territory, and then they're waiting for their female friends to come on up, and they'll have a place all ready to go and territory established. So let's take a closer look at that bird. Here's a great look at one of those red-winged blackbirds. You see that it gets its name from that red shape there and the little bit of yellow that's on it. And you can hear them calling, "Vote for me!" There it goes. You can hear all of them calling, "Vote for me!" Another early sign of spring, my friends. Hey friends, thanks for joining me as we explored the early signs of spring. This has been Chad the Nature Dad. Join me next time. Who knows what we're gonna find? Hey Kendall, I was just out in the woods. I found a plant out there. I'm wondering if you could help me figure out what plant it is.
Sure.
All right, so what I need to do is close your eyes and then give it a big smell, okay? See if you think you know what it is. What plant do you think stinks like that and that comes up?
Skunk cabbage?
Skunk cabbage! Yeah, it was skunk cabbage. Did it smell like anything else?
Kind of smelled like a leek.
Yeah, kind of.
A stinky leek.
Yeah, a stinky leek that's out there, right? Hopefully the leeks we find, they don't smell like that. But yep, ding ding, skunk cabbage!